Now that I have been posting the Regretful Parents series for quite a while, I have noticed some commonalities across what women are saying in the messages and in the comments.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you enjoy this content, please hit subscribe, like, share, comment, hit the notification bell so that you will know the next time I upload a new video. This is going to be another Regretful Mother video. The content creator featured in this video does a lot of Regretful Mother content on her TikTok. I follow her, and this video, she's going to highlight all of the commonalities that she has come across with doing Regretful Mother content. There's a lot of similarities that all of these mothers tend to have in common. I thought it was a very insightful video for those of you who are on the fence about motherhood. So yeah, I'll come in at the back end and let's get right into it.
And I made a list of the 15 most common things that I'm hearing. And these not only apply to regretful parents, they apply to all parents, especially mothers. And so I wanted to share them here so that if you are thinking about becoming a mother, these are 15 things that you need to consider and think about. And the first common theme that I have seen, and I've noticed this before I started doing this series, I've seen this in every parent that I've ever known, and that is guilt. Every parent, regretful or not, deals with guilt on a daily basis for the rest of their life. You have guilt when you do the wrong things. You have guilt when you know you're doing the right things. You have guilt when you prioritize yourself. You feel guilt when you prioritize your kids. It's just lifelong guilt. If you have kids, guilt, just accept it's gonna happen. The second common theme that I'm seeing is the fact that labor and delivery is not talked about, and how dangerous it is and how traumatic it can be, and how labor and delivery can alter you emotionally, mentally, and physically for a long time. It is a dangerous process, and it is not discussed nearly enough. The third common theme is postpartum depression. Many women experience it, and it can last for a long time, and it can affect your experience as a new mother drastically. Again, it is not being talked about enough in relation to the impact it has on the life of a new mother. Fourth common theme, there is no village. It is said in every message, it is mentioned in so many comments. Women who thought they had a village, women who were told they had a village explicitly from their family and friends who said, we will help you, we will support you, please have the baby. And the village goes poof the moment that baby arrives. The fifth common thing that I'm seeing throughout these messages and comments is autism, ADHD, and neurodivergence being present in both the children as well as in the parents, and often the parents not finding out until well after their children are born. Number 6 is people invalidating experiences that are not their own. So I read a message from a woman and people are quick to rush into the comments to say, well, that's not my experience. I love my children and I would do anything for them, and that's not how it is for me. So if you become a parent and you want to talk about your honest lived experience as a parent, you can expect to be invalidated by many people. Number 7 is regret about things other than your children. And this has been touched on in a few of my videos. Regretting things like lost time, regretting things like lost experiences, things you weren't able to do because you had children, regretting the fact that you can't raise your children the way you want to raise them because you don't have the resources you need, because you don't have the village. So regret is a huge theme, even if it's not directly pointed at having children. Number 8, not realizing how much your life will change and how you will probably lose your identity, at least for a little while. This is such a common theme in these messages and in these comments. Your life changes forever in ways that you cannot imagine and in every way possible. And yes, many mothers lose their identity entirely because they have to give themselves over entirely to a new little human being. So if you choose to go into parenthood, be aware that that will likely happen. Number 9, it doesn't end at 18. Parenthood is for life. Motherhood is for life. Once they turn 18, you still worry. You still have regret. You still have guilt. You're still taking care of them. You're still thinking about them. You still have anxiety about them. It does not end at 18. You are in it for the rest of your life. Number 10 is children of regretful parents. I have heard from many of them, and I will be doing a series about children from regretful parents, and children often know. They can tell, and they know when they get older, when they're adults, they realize that their parents regretted having them. So that is something you have to think about. If you're not 100% in on parenthood and you think you may feel regret, just know that your children will probably be able to feel that too. Number 11 is women being in the role of caregivers for their entire lives. They talk about how they have taken care of their boyfriends who become their husbands, still taking care of them. Then they take care of their children. Then they take care of their aging parents. Then it's back to taking care of their aging husband. And they spend their entire lives being caregivers. And to top it off, they are not appreciated. No one cares for them. Which brings me to number 12, which is mentioned in so many of these messages, and that is the fact that you feel invisible as a mother. Your work is not recognized or appreciated by your children, by your husband or partner, or by the world. You feel invisible and lonely much of the time. Number 13 is loneliness. Many women describe themselves as being lonely despite having a family, despite having a partner, despite having kids. They feel alone and they feel lonely. Number 14 is judgment from other people, especially other mothers. You will deal with the judgment of people and how you choose to raise your children, how you choose to parent. You'll deal with that judgment on every level throughout your existence as a parent. And number 15, moms are the default parent who get blamed for everything, and dads get praised for the bare minimum.
That was a pretty long list of common themes, but I do want to recap these things that she pointed out. The mom guilt, for me, that's one of the number one reasons why I personally don't want to have children. I would feel guilty all day, every day. I would hate my life. I would feel guilty about bringing them in this type of world. Like I say all the time, like I would not be able to get away from the mom guilt, and I absolutely don't think it's worth it. Childbirth being dangerous and it's not discussed enough. That is so true. I don't really know what that is. I understand why a lot of women don't talk about how much they regret their kids, because that's taboo and it's not acceptable. It's becoming more acceptable now because we're talking about it, but you know, I get that part, but I don't understand why it's not more talked about as far as how dangerous. It's literally a life or death thing when you're giving birth, and I don't know if people realize that or not. But I think on a social level, they don't talk about it because it would scare a lot of women out of doing it, which it definitely worked on me. Like the idea of childbirth, like absolutely terrifies me. It repulses me. Everything about it. There's nothing about it to me that seems worth it. And I was just talking about, keeping my body. I don't really want to damage things unnecessarily by having children. Postpartum depression is another thing. There are many women who get past that, but it's a lot of women that don't. You don't know which one you're going to be, or with what kid it's going to be. You don't know. I don't think it's worth the risk. The no village thing. I have done videos in the past about how there's no village. For most women, most people will tell you, oh, I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to help you. Oh, have the baby. It's okay. And then the moment you do, these people are nowhere to be found. And when they are somewhere to be found, it's usually not going to be when you need them. So do the math on that one. And then the other thing that she pointed out was a lot of these women are talking about how their kids either have autism, ADHD, or neurodivergence. And I've been noticing that myself. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's the food. I don't know if it's the environment. I don't know what's causing all of these moms to have kids with autism and ADHD and neurodivergence. I honestly don't know. But that is definitely something that I hadn't paid attention to before until she pointed it out. And I started thinking about it. And I'm like, just about every mom video or regret post that I read, they're all saying that. And I find that to be interesting. That's something that should be studied, in my opinion. And all those things are found out in both the child and the mom. Like she said in the video, sometime after the kids are born, they'll find this out. People invalidating your experiences that are not theirs. Yes. People come here and invalidate my experience as a child-free woman all the time. They invalidate anything that I talk about. So that is going to be true across the board. A lot of women get on here and lie and say, well, my husband is a hands-on dad and my husband does this. And come to find out the husband only made one bottle and changed 2 diapers in the 3 years that you've had. You know what I mean? So women will lie. They will do that. That's why when women do that, I don't pay them any attention. And I just assume they're lying, because it's like, girl, please, if he was that much of a hands-on dad, you probably would be somewhere up under him being happy and not in our comment sections, but whatever. Let's see, the regret and the freedom sacrifices that a lot of parents complain about. That is another common thing that I have seen myself. And that's another reason why I decided not to have children personally. I am not giving up my freedom. The sacrifices are not worth it. And I'm not interested. Losing your identity and not knowing how much of your life you're going to lose and give up. I say all the time that a lot of parents, especially mothers, don't, in my opinion, they did not, and they don't take the time out to really think about how children are about to turn their world upside down. They don't think about it. They don't think about it until after the fact. While child-free women are being called immature and trying to escape from responsibility, we're actually very mature, because we actually took a lot of time. We're talking years, decades for some of us, to really think about how our lives will change, mostly for the worse and not the better. And that's another reason why we're like, nah, I don't think it's for me. The other one she touched on, parenthood is forever. It is. I hear parents say all the time when their kids turn 18, they're going to be put out the house. And I'm like, what kind of a mother are you? And then I'm thinking too, like, you're going to still be worried about your kid if you love them. If you actually love your kid and care about them and care about their well-being, you're going to worry about them until the day that you unalive. So I don't know why people think parenting ends when the kids become grown. It doesn't. That worry is going to be there literally forever. And I don't like worrying because it gives me frown lines. So I'm good on that. Another one is adult children that had parents who regretted them. That is a very real thing as well. I hear that a lot. I know that there are a lot of kids that have parents that are like, I wish I never had you, and having you was the worst thing that I've ever done in my life, blah, 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 blah. And kids can feel that, and I'm aware of that. And that's why, I would never do that to an innocent child. No matter how much I would go out of my way to try not to show how resentful and regretful I am, kids feel it. And I would never want to do that to a kid. I know ahead of time not to do that. She also touched on women being caregivers their whole lives. Listen, ladies, you're not going to get a prize for this. There's not going to be some consolation prize or some Nobel Peace Prize or $20 million in rewards at the end of your parenting journey. You are a caregiver to your kids, your husband, your parents, if they're still alive, everyone around you, and you think you're doing a noble thing. I'm going to be the first to tell you, you're not doing a noble thing. The only thing you're doing is draining yourself, tiring yourselves out, and you're not going to get anything in return. You're not going to get anything in return for this. This is why there's a rise in what they would like to call a selfish culture, and this generation of people, Gen Z and millennials, being too self-centered, and they're trying to make it out like it's a bad thing. And I'm sorry, but that is the best thing you can ever do to yourself or for yourself, because giving too much of yourself, people are just going to take advantage of you and drain you and dog you the fuck out anyways. And it is going to be the one or the other of the two extremes. There really is no in between. People are either going to use you or they're not. And it's up to you to decide, no, or yes, you can keep using me. You can bleed me dry, or stay the fuck away from me. Like where I'm at now, I don't even want to make new friends because I don't want the responsibility of dealing with people. And it probably wouldn't be this way if people were not so fickle. If capitalism wasn't created and people wasn't willing to sell themselves out for money, and they'll do anything for money, and they don't care about that. All of that trickles down. All of these fake patriarchal structures and capitalism and socialism and classism, all of the isms are creating the types of people, including myself, that we see every day. People say I'm selfish because I don't want to make friends, because I don't want to deal with the responsibility of that. And it's like, well, if people wasn't so codependent, needy, judgmental, annoying, always begging for money, I probably wouldn't feel this way. But hey, it is what it is. This is where we are. Another thing she touched on was loneliness while married with kids. I'd love to point out, because people swear up and down, if you're single, you're going to be lonely. People think that being alone and lonely are the same thing. I'm like, no, they're not. But there are women out there who feel lonely while they have a whole family. So let's talk about that, shall we? And leave child-free single women alone. Because single women are like, I would rather be single than to be in a relationship with a parasitic man who's just using you. And that's okay. But you're lonely. But they're saying they're not lonely. And even if they do get lonely, they would rather be lonely than to be used. These men are just marrying y'all for you to be a wife slave. That's literally it. So I'm not letting you use me like that. And people have the right to do that. The judgment from other mothers is a real thing. And the mom is always going to be the default parent. Those are all reasons why, literally, I chose not to have kids. Everything that she named on here. Except I don't care about the judgment of other mothers part. I really don't care. Like, people can think what they want to think about me. But literally everything else on this list is why I chose not to have kids. And these are the things that most of these mothers that are complaining and regretful, this is what they're complaining about. So this is something for you all to think about if you're on the fence. That's all I have for this video for now. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment. I'll catch you guys in the next video.